All right, let's jump right into this fascinating explainer. We're looking at a massive 26-year-old lie that was hiding right in plain sight. Seriously, this story sounds like it was ripped straight out of a Hollywood thriller, but it's 100% true. It's this deeply human look at identity, family, and the whole anatomy of deception. If you've ever wondered how someone keeps a secret of that magnitude for literal decades, and what happens when it finally blows up, you're definitely going to want to stick around for this. Let's get into it. She was the sweetest person I knew. She was lying to everyone. Man, that quote just gives you chills, right? It was said by a woman named Nora about her mother, Lillian Hayes. Think about the absolute kindest, most beloved person in your own community. For Norristown, that was Lillian. She's the one bringing soup when you're sick, remembering your kids' birthdays, basically the heartbeat of the town. But as we're about to see, this seemingly perfect life was built on a foundation of absolute total deception. Which brings us to Section 1, the perfect illusion. 26 years of warmth. We've got to start by looking at this incredibly flawless life Lillian built. Because to really understand the betrayal, you have to understand the armor she wore. She ran the local bakery, she volunteered at the community center, organized the big 4th of July picnic, and raised Nora all by herself. Lillian understood a brilliant, honestly kind of dark psychological truth. If everyone absolutely loves you, nobody looks close enough to question you. Visibility was her actual protection. She wasn't just putting on a show, she was literally hiding in the spotlight. She even backed this all up with fake family lore. Picture this, she's looking through a shoebox of old photos with 9-year-old Nora, telling her, "We don't run from hard things, we bake through them." She claimed they came from a long, resilient line of Hayes women. Now, she had no idea that this exact phrase, this idea of facing hard things head-on, was going to be the very thing Nora needed to survive the truth that was coming. Talk about ironic, right? Let's move to Section 2, uncovering the secret, the hairline fractures. Because massive, 2-decade-long lies don't usually just explode out of nowhere. No, they develop these tiny, almost invisible cracks first. And that is exactly what happened to Nora right around her wedding. First, she stumbles on a 1974 property deed from a town 400 miles away, a place her mom had never, ever mentioned. Then she flips over a photograph and finds a faded date from 1986. And here's the thing, if Lillian was 19 in that picture, the math meant she had to be 15 years older than she claimed to be today. The whole architecture of the lie was just crumbling under basic arithmetic. So Nora takes these weird discrepancies to her mom just 2 weeks before her wedding and gently asks about them. Lillian's response? She tightens up, totally uncharacteristic for her, and just deflects, saying, "Can we please not do this right now?" It wasn't anger. It was the sheer panic of someone cornered. Nora, who just wanted a peaceful wedding, backed off. She let the illusion breathe for just a few more weeks. And that leads us to Section 3. The devastating truth. The stranger returns. Because obviously the illusion couldn't hold forever. Just days after Nora's picture-perfect wedding, the tipping point arrives. A private investigator named Carol Whitfield walks right into the bakery. 2 words. "Hello, Linda." With just those 2 words from a total stranger, the floor completely drops out from under Nora's entire existence. Imagine that psychological shock. In a split second, the single most foundational fact of Nora's life, who her own mother was, is entirely rewritten. Nora is suddenly staring down 2 totally impossible realities. On one hand, you have Lillian Hayes, the beloved baker, the town pillar, the devoted mother she'd known her whole life. On the other hand, the stark historical truth. Linda Marsh, a former housekeeper, and a fugitive who had literally kidnapped a child. The woman who raised her had taken her from a dangerous home 26 years ago. How on earth do you wrap your head around those 2 drastically different identities living inside the exact same person? Well, when the confession finally poured out, Nora learned the intense context behind it all. Linda had made this terrifying, life-altering choice, driven by a really messy mix of fear and love. See, Nora's biological parents were highly dangerous. Linda, who was just a powerless housekeeper at the time, truly believed that running away with 4-year-old Nora was the absolute only way to save her life. So she invents a fake history, changes their names, and hides in plain sight, figuring that becoming an indispensable part of a community was her best shot at keeping them both safe. So, what happens next? Section 4, handling the aftermath. Navigating deep secrets. This is where we hit one of the core takeaways of our explainer. When the dust settles on something this huge, how do you handle a life-altering secret from someone you love? Nora didn't just instantly forgive and forget, no way. But her process gives us a really solid roadmap. First, she sat at the kitchen table and demanded the absolute, unfiltered truth, no deflections. Second, they dove into intense therapy, both individually and together, for 2 years. And third, Nora forced herself to zoom out and look at the full context of Linda's life, including Linda's own childhood trauma in a broken foster system that made her so terrified of authority in the first place. But look, we also have to sit with the immense cost of this secret. 26. That is the number of years Linda lived in absolute terror of losing Nora. She used that lie as a shield, but that shield robbed Nora of her actual history. For 26 years, Nora didn't know her real birthday, her real last name, or the true story of how she came to be. That is an incredibly heavy toll to carry. Which brings us to our final and honestly most complex section. Section 5, Love and Painful Truths, Holding Two Realities. This is where human psychology gets super messy, but honestly pretty beautiful too. You have to look at how these two very different realities exist side by side. The lie, a stolen identity, fake lineage, decades of pure deception. But then, the love, genuine kindness, providing a truly safe home, and waking up every single day choosing to protect Nora. The betrayal was real, absolutely, but so was the fact that Linda's daily devotion was the truest thing she ever did. Nora had to figure out how to hold both of these conflicting truths in her hands at the exact same time. If there is anything to take away from this, it's this. Finding out someone hid something massive doesn't mean their kindness was just an act. A lie doesn't automatically poison every good memory. And honestly, the size of the lie doesn't dictate the size of the love underneath it. Sometimes people build the biggest walls because they are so desperately afraid of losing what they love. But here's the kicker. Accountability matters way more than perfection. When the truth comes out, they have to own it, completely. And Linda did. She didn't run when she was caught. She stayed right there in the room. And the ultimate proof that they healed? The newly renamed bakery. It now says Linda and Norris. That sign finally tells the truth, replacing a totally made-up heritage with a profound relationship that was built on daily, intentional choice rather than just biology. I want to leave you with this thought, something to really chew on for your own life. When a massive secret is finally dragged into the light, what does that person do? Do they run, get defensive, and try to gaslight you into doubting your own reality? Or do they sit down, drop the armor, and finally answer every single hard question, staying right there in the pain with you? Their answer tells you absolutely everything you need to know about whether the love beneath that lie was real all along. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep asking the hard questions, and I'll catch you next time.